Today, on the Azimut 95 RPH. I try and drive, but don't know where to put my hands. Have a bit of trouble finding the cabins, get big-headed and feel like I'm a movie star. Then come down to the ground with a bump to something that's more in line for me. And if you want to see how it finishes up, well, just keep watching. Azimut is one of the Azimut Benetti group brands, along with Atlantic, Megellano, Flying Bridge and Grande, and offers the widest range of yachts from 34 to 120 feet. We're at the Cannes Yachting Festival and we're about to board the Azimut 95 RPH. What? You aren't interested in boats? Just wait, because later on we do a tour of the inside that you may get some home furnishing pointers on then. We're on the Côte d'Azur, where you quite often get to see big yachts like this one. Shall we do a tour? Well, you can drive the boat from here, the Flying Bridge or the raised pilot house.
Guardate che plancia. Ci vuole un po' di
Look at the bridge. I'll need a bit of time to figure out where to put my hands. The engines start like this though.
È emozionante mettere in moto.
It's quite special starting up 4,400 horsepower.
Trovo che le linee esterne dell'Azimut 95 RPH siano davvero
I think the
ricercate.
external lines of the Azimut 95 RPH are really cool, very elegant and modern, typically Italian.
Il designer
Stefano Rahini designed it. In fact, he practically created the Azimut style.
Questa timoneria è chiamata Raised Pilot House perché
This helm is called the raised pilot house because it's higher than the main bridge, so the rooms are more inhabitable.
siamo in dislocamento, i motori stanno girando al minimo, 600 giri minuti.
We're moving. The engines are going at the minimum, 600 revs a minute and 6 knots. There's total silence, and it doesn't even feel as if we're moving, let alone on a motorboat.
Nonostante questa immensa massa, sento che
Even though this is an enormous mass, I can feel the propellers pushing the boat out of the water. The bow doesn't go under, the hull comes away easily from the waves and at the stern. The wake shows that the boat is well balanced dynamically because it's not bringing much water up.
è favoloso sapere che è così grande.
It's wonderful to know that it's so big, but it moves in such a brilliant way, even accelerating.
A 1600 giri
At 1,600 revs, we're touching 14.2 knots. Here, we're even looking at tenths of knots.
su un'imbarcazione così grande, ogni piccolo dettaglio ha una notevole importanza agli effetti della velocità.
On a boat this big, every little detail is of valued importance, like the speed effect. Synced engines are important because the push needs to be perfectly balanced and the load on each needs to be distributed equally, which then goes on to give better mileage.
Sebbene sia una grande imbarcazione, praticamente una nave, ha una
Even though it's a big boat, practically a ship, it has a range of flaps, intruders to be precise, which are there to regulate the boat's balance. But the extraordinary thing is that I didn't have to regulate them to get the plane. I left them completely raised because they didn't give any resistance and the boat went progressively forward anyway.
Ci sono un sacco di strumenti da tenere sotto controllo.
There are lots of instruments that you need to keep your eye on, but it's a lot of fun being in command of something this long. Quite extraordinary.
I motori MTU da 16 cilindri
The 2,200 horsepower 16-cylinder MTU engines can keep up a continual 2,100 revs and speed correlates to 20 knots. But that's not all.
Adesso diamo gas.
So let's put our foot down.
Apparentemente non succede nulla. Rimane
Apparently nothing is happening. Everything is nice and cozy. So quiet, but the dial on the speedometer is rising.
25 quasi. Immaginate, quasi
25 almost. Imagine, it's almost 29 meters long, 110 tons, and we're going more than 25 knots. Incredible.
Il progetto di questa carena è di Azimut con
This hull has been brought to you by Azimut engineer Pierluigi Alcionio. It has stuck to the route in an incredible way because along the keel axis there's a skeg, which is a fin that goes lengthwise like a fish.
Il serbatoio di questa imbarcazione contiene 12.000 litri di carburante.
The reservoir on this boat can hold 12,000 litres of petrol, a bit like filling up 200 cars. It must be pretty boring too. It'd take up a lot of time and a lot of money.
Certo che
Of course, I'm enjoying being the pilot on the Azimut 95 RPH. Wouldn't you like to drive it?
come? Preferireste essere?
Sorry, you'd rather be the owner?
Allora vi porto a vedere.
Right. Well, I'll show you the cabin.
L'armatoriale si trova a prua e ha una superficie di
The owner's cabin is at the bow and fills 34 meters squared. On a yacht like this, that's a record space.
Se fossi l'armatrice sarei molto contenta di questo ambiente.
If I owned the boat, I'd be pretty happy here. There's a dressing room with 2 full-height wardrobes. There's a central chest of drawers and cupboards to the side.
Hanno persino abbassato la falchetta in corrispondenza.
They've even lowered the washboard so you can see the sea.
Il bagno è a tutto vaglio, quindi
The
lunghissimo.
bathroom goes along the whole beam, so it's very long, and fittings are teak and marbled rounded with mahogany pieces. The shower door is teak too.
Poi, se fossi l'armatrice, andrei a prua.
Then, if I was the owner, I'd toddle off to the stern to fully appreciate the sun and wind while sailing. The boat is wonderful from here too.
Se fossi l'armatrice,
If I owned the boat, I'd be going to the stern for a swim. And the sun and the sea.
la plancia è una
The bridge is a beach area filled with mobile bar, beach umbrella, lounger, little shower, and again, if I was the owner, I'd be off into the flying bridge to enjoy the whirlpool.
Nel salone hanno adottato la
The living area has the same possibilities as the owner's cabin, which means there's a strong connection with the outside. Lowering the washboard again to make wider and higher windows.
design è molto ricercato. Il
It's a very popular design. The salon hosts 10 and the eating area is for 8. A 55-inch TV screen comes down from the ceiling.
Gli interni sono stati curati dallo studio Salvagni Architetti e sono
Interiors are by Salvianchetti and made by the excellent Tuscan artists. The kitchen area is a work of art. Even the centre table is an object of rare beauty with details in gold leaf, as is the ceiling above the table. And when you look at the details, you see how precisely it's been put together.
In verità mi piacerebbe essere lo chef dell'Azimut.
In truth, I'd like to be the chef on the Azimut 95 RPH. In the kitchen, appliances, materials and accessories are top quality. Even the technology is top-notch here.
Oppure potrei fare il barman, così
Or I could be the barman. That way I could prepare cocktails here on the flying bridge and just drink in the panorama. You know what I think? It would be incredibly lucky to be a guest on this boat.
Ci sono 4 cabine, tutte nobili, tutte uguali, tutte con bagno
There
privato.
are 4 cabins, all noble, all the same, all en suite. The headboards are leather, a nice contrast to the shiny mahogany, the silk and the teak. The eggshell varnish on the side tables is irresistible. You just want to touch them.
All'equipaggio
There are 3 cabins for the crew and 2 bathrooms in an area around the bow with independent access from the kitchen. The garage crosses with a pivotal C platform and there are 4 for a 4 metre plus tender. And there's room for a 4 metre plus tender.
ho sognato di essere
Well, I've had dreams of being owner, guest barman and chef. But really, I want to be the engineer and look after the power of these 4,400 horses.
Ogni cilindro ha la cilindrata di una potente autovettura, 2200.
Every cylinder is as powerful as a car's 2,230 cubic centimetres. There are 16 of them, 8 per bank, for a total of 35,680 cubic centimetres.
Sapete
You know
cosa
what
vi
I think?
dico?
I'd do anything and all of the above if it meant I could stay on board this Azimut 95 RPH.